Hey you all, this is Dr. Habib Ahmed. Welcome to our dive deep into SCAPS 1D thermal analysis of solar cells. In this video, we will explore how temperature impacts the performance of solar cells, specifically in the range of 300 to 350 Kelvin. Whether you are a researcher, student, or just curious about solar technology, this video will guide you through the key aspects of thermal analysis of solar cells using the SCAPS 1D simulation tool. In this video, we will also demonstrate how to plot the key performance metrics of solar cells like open circuit voltage, maximum voltage, short circuit current density, maximum current density, fill factor, and efficiency of solar cells using origin graphing and analysis software. By visualizing these results, you will gain a clearer understanding of how temperature affects solar cells' performance and learn how to effectively present your data for analysis and reporting in various scientific journals, etc. Thermal analysis of solar cells is crucial because temperature fluctuations significantly affects the performance of solar cells. As temperature rises, the efficiency and power output of solar cells generally decrease due to increased carrier recombination and reduced open circuit voltage. Understanding and managing these thermal effects is essential for optimizing solar cell design, ensuring reliable performance, and maximizing energy yield, especially in varying environmental conditions. SCAPS 1D, which is a short for solar cell capacitance simulator in one dimension, is a powerful simulation tool designed for modeling and analyzing the electrical and thermal behavior of solar cells. It allows researchers to investigate how different parameters, including temperature, affect solar cell performance by simulating complex interactions within the cell's layers. SCAPS 1D is particularly effective for thermal analysis. It provides detailed insights into how temperature variations impact the efficiency, voltage, and overall cell behavior, making it an invaluable resource for optimizing solar cell designs. Get ready to learn about the effects of temperature on efficiency, open circuit voltage, and more. Let's jump in right into SCAPS 1D thermal analysis of solar cells and plotting the results in Origin software. So here is the simulation environment. And let me close these figures. I'm going to plot the results later in Origin. Before proceeding with the simulation of solar cells in SCAPS 1D for thermal analysis, I just want to show you a couple of my glimpses of my previous videos. So I previously performed the thermal analysis of solar cells via Silvago TCAD simulation at different temperatures. You can also look at that video for reference to gather more understanding into the thermal analysis of solar cells. Also, in another video, I performed the SCAPS 1D simulation of perovskite solar cells, which is a step-by-step tutorial. So in today's video, I'm going to focus more on the thermal analysis of solar cells and not on the step-by-step design of perovskite solar cells using SCAPS 1D software. So for the design part, for the construction of the solar cell, you can refer to this video on my YouTube channel. And I'm just going to start from where I left in the previous video. First of all, in SCAPS 1D, we set up the simulation environment for the simulation of the solar cell. Initially, we set the temperature to 300 Kelvin, but later we are going to vary it in the range of 300 to 350 Kelvin. I'm not simulating the effect of series resistance and shunt resistance at this point. We are going to do that at some point later. And I want to perform the simulation under light conditions at AM 1.5G, which represents diffuse spectrum for solar cell, and at a light intensity of 1000 watt per meter square, corresponding to 100 milliwatts per centimeter square, which is one of the standard test conditions. The other conditions are room temperature, which is 25 degrees C, and also AM 1.5 represents that our light is at an angle of 48.2 degrees to the vertical axis, or you can say to the zenith. Then for the IV measurements, I know that my open circuit voltage is somewhere around 1.2 volts or slightly less than that. So I want to perform the IV characteristics in the range of 0 to 1.5 volts, and I click this option, which means that I want the simulations to stop after my IV characteristics arrive at the open circuit voltage. Here I have set the increment step to 0.02 volts, but you can increase or decrease it. Then I also want to look at the quantum efficiency of the solar cells in the range of 100 to 900 degrees C, and then I set the problem. So here you can construct the structure from scratch by adding different number of layers. In my case, the layers are the top contact followed by nickel oxide, p-type nickel oxide, which serves as the hole transport layer, followed by the active layer, which is a perovskite layer, followed by zinc oxide, which acts as an electron transport layer, followed by indium tin oxide, which is a transparent conductive oxide layer, followed by the bottom electrode. So I don't want to construct the same structure once again. If you want to construct it, you can always refer to my YouTube channel, but I have saved the structure, and I'm just going to load the structure, and it's this one. So I just loaded, and now you see the structure. So here I have p-type nickel oxide, and these are the various parameters related to this p-type nickel oxide hole transport layer. You can see the band gap, electron affinity, permittivity, density of states in the conduction and valence band, the velocities, electron and hole mobility, and then you see the hole concentration or the p-type doping for this nickel oxide layer. Then I've added a defect density as well in this nickel oxide layer, and I have included an absorption file, for which I have previously given the description how you can include the absorption file from like literature. People have performed absorption optical measurements on nickel oxide layers, and from there you can extract the absorption properties such as the refractive indices and absorption coefficients versus different wavelengths, and you can put them together in a single file, and then you can call them over here. You can import these files. So I've previously done it. I'm not going to do that again. Or in fact, I'm going to show the detailed procedure for that in another video, how you do that, because a couple of people have asked me about how to create those files. Like I've shown the procedure, but it might need more details. So I'm going to do that at some point later in the future. So I just click accept, and then one by one I'm going to show you the other layers as well. Click accept. Here is the N-type zinc oxide electron transport layer. You can see the properties of this layer as well. Here is the indium tin oxide layer, and then you see the right contact and the left contact. I'm considering flat bands, but you can always include a metal work function for your specific application over here. And the light is incident on this structure from the right side, or you can say from the indium tin oxide side. So since I have already created the structure, I'm just gonna click OK, and there, like here, you can click on calculate single shot, and it gives you the results without including the thermal analysis in the range of 300 to 350 Kelvin. I'm going to show you later how to do that. So you can look at the IV measurements. Here is my open circuit voltage, the short circuit current density, fill factor, and efficiency of my solar cell. Here is the IV characteristic. You can also look at the quantum efficiency of this solar cell. But I want to perform the thermal analysis of the solar cell in the range of 300 to 350 Kelvin. So I click on action, I go back to the main window, and here I click on batch setup. Before doing that, let me clear all the previous simulations. So here I click on batch setup, then click on add, click on this tab where you see different options. You can vary different parameters of the layers. For example, you can perform a simulation of the thickness variations of these individual layers or the doping concentration variation, etc. But I'm more interested in the thermal analysis of the solar cell. So I click on this option, T of K. And then I click over here and then click on the set tab. Here I want to perform the simulation, the thermal analysis in the temperature range of 300 to 350 Kelvin. So I enter these different values. Okay, so it's 300, 310, 320, 330, 340, 350, 360. And then we click on update. So now this table is updated with these temperatures. And then I click on OK. Click on OK once again to get back to the main window. But setting up the measurements is not yet finished. We have entered the temperature ranges, but now we need to enter whether we want to perform the IV measurements or CV measurements or efficiency measurements. So in order to define our type of measurements, we click on record setup. And here in record setup, these are the different options that we can actually click from. We are interested in the IV characteristics, so we click on insert above. So this way we can perform the thermal analysis of the solar cell, and we can look at figures of merit, for example, like efficiency, open circuit voltage, short circuit current density, fill factor, the maximum voltage and maximum short circuit maximum current density point. So click on OK, and now we are all set to perform the measurements. So let me full screen this. So click on calculate recorder, and now the simulations have started. You can see the temperature parameter here, like now it's performing it for 330 Kelvin. Now we're at 340 Kelvin. Now at 350 Kelvin. Now at 360 Kelvin. So, okay, I mean, I want to do it in the range of 300 to 350, but I entered another value, which is 60. So what we can do is we can go ahead with the same, or we can go back to action, clear the previous simulations. We go to record setup, and this one is fine. We go to batch setup. In the batch setup, we go to set and just remove this option. We can do it up to 360 as well, but it's going to increase our computations and then plotting them further in origin as well. But you can always adjust this range as per your requirements. So I'm going to click OK and then click OK once again. So we go back to set. Sorry, I did not update it. So okay, click on update. Now the list is updated. It's in the range of 300 to 350 Kelvin. Click on OK and then click on OK once again. Click on record setup once again. The IV characteristics are entered in this list. So I click on OK once again. And we need to make sure that we have cleared all the previous simulations. So that part is done. Click on calculate recorder once again. So running the simulation for 300 Kelvin right now, 310, 320, 330, 340, 350. Cool, the simulations are done. So we click on IV and these are our IV measurements. So here, like the step part is given, you see the efficiency 18.63, but there is and we can click on step 1. So it gives us the parameters, the performance parameters at a temperature of 300 Kelvin. You can click on step 2. It shows us the parameters at 310 Kelvin. But there is a more convenient way of doing that. So I'm going to demonstrate how to look at it in a more convenient manner later. At this point, we want to look at the IV measurements. And I want to plot the same measurements in Origin software as well. So first I'm going to open the Origin software. Full screen it. And here my voltage range is gonna be okay. So I want to plot the results of in the range, temperature range of 300 to 350 Kelvin. So I actually got 6 different kind of curves, and for each of the curves I have an independent variable and a dependent variable. So basically I need 12 columns for that. I click on this B column, then I press Ctrl plus D, or D as in doctor. Click on yes, and I want to add 10 more columns to the right of it. So that part is done, and my independent variable is voltage. We can enter the unit over here, and my dependent variable is current density. And its unit is going to be milliamps per centimeter square. Okay, now we go back to the SCAPS 1D software, and here we click on show, and this basically runs the IV characteristics of the solar cell at different temperatures. So this one is at temperature of 300 Kelvin. So I select all these columns at 300 Kelvin, and then I press Ctrl plus C to copy the data. And if you look at this data, the first column is for voltage, and then the second column is for total current density in milliamps per centimeter square. The third column is for recombination current. The fourth column is for generation current, bulk current, etc. So I'm more interested in the first two columns, so I copy all the data, and then I press Ctrl plus V to paste the data in origin, but I don't need the columns to the right. I just need the first two columns. So I delete the columns to the right of the first two columns. And then I gotta save this origin file somewhere. So let me name it as IV versus, or you can say JV versus temperature. And then click on save. Okay, so I copied the data at 300 Kelvin. I do the same for the remaining temperatures as well. Here you can see 310 Kelvin. So once again, I copy all the data, press Ctrl plus C, come over here, press Ctrl plus V, and once again delete the columns to the right. In fact, there are more columns to the right, so we can delete those as well. So we repeat the process for the remaining temperatures as well. You can see 320 Kelvin. $330 Kelvin. $340 Kelvin. And finally 350 Kelvin. We don't need these columns, these are extraneous, so I right click on those columns and click delete. So now we got these two columns at 300 Kelvin, these two at 310, these two at 320, these two at 330, 340, 350, right? Also, column C corresponds to voltage, so I'm going to assign it as X axis. Similarly, column E, column G, column I, and column K. Let me double check. Okay, now I select all these columns and then come over here and click on line plus symbol. So you see all these curves, but now we gotta perform some settings. For example, I wanna enclose all these results. So for that I double click on this axis. I click on show and I wanna show the top axis, the left axis, the right axis, and the bottom axis. So show all these, click OK. I don't want the label at the top. No, I don't want the scale at the top. So you can delete them or you can keep it. Similarly, I don't want the scale and the axis on the values on the right as well. So you can delete them as well. Similarly, so then you can perform some other settings. Also, I want to label them like since my variable is temperature, so I want to set the temperature to 300. I want to label them as temperatures. 310 Kelvin, 320 Kelvin, 330 Kelvin, 340 Kelvin, 350 Kelvin. Cool. And save your results from time to time by pressing Ctrl plus S. S as in science. Also, you can set these axes. So I go to scale and I want to run the results from 0 to 1.2. volts. Linear is fine for me. An increment of 0.2 is fine, and between the major ticks I want 4 ticks. So like right now you can see between 0 and 0.2 you just see 1 tick, but when I enter a value of 4 and then hit apply, you can see now we have 4 ticks. This way you can interpret the data in an easier way. And I do the same for the y-axis as well. I want to see the results in the range of minus 23 to 0, since 0 gives me the open circuit voltage point. Similarly, a value of 5 is an increment of 5 for the major ticks is fine for me, but for the minor ticks I want a count of 4, and just observe this axis. Now instead of 1 minor tick, when I enter a value of 4 and hit apply, you see 4 minor ticks. Then I click OK once again. I want to set the font to bold for this axis and also for the vertical axis. So we are gonna do that. Also, we want to set this to bold, and you can always increase the font size of this as well. Similarly, the current density, set this to the superscript, press Ctrl plus A and set it to bold. Similarly, you can increase the font size to 24 for this one as well. Also, we can play around with the curves as well. So for that purpose, I double click on this curve and instead of so right now they are dependent on each other. So what I want to do is I want to set the width of each line to 4. So I hit apply, and now you can see that the curves are thicker. But I go back to group and I want to assign individual but I mean, like, the symbols don't look good over here, so I'm just gonna set it to dependent and then go to symbol, and I'm gonna reduce the symbol size to 0 to eliminate the symbols. So I click on OK. Now you see the symbols have disappeared. Also we go to group, now set it to independent so that we can set the color of each line individually. We want to set the first curve to black, hit apply. The second one to red, hit apply. You can see the changes are reflected over here. The third one to blue, hit apply. The fourth one to green, hit apply. The fifth one to, I would say, more like orange color, hit apply. And then the last one, which corresponds to a temperature of 350 Kelvin, we can set it to this color, which is I for some reason cannot figure out the purple and magenta colors, so I'm not good at that. Pardon me for that, but this color that you can see, and then hit apply. But I mean, it looks close to the black color, so I'm gonna slightly change it. Let's go ahead with this one. Hit apply, still close to the black color. We'll go with this one, hit apply. Okay, this looks fine. Okay, so now these are your results, and roughly looking, we can also full screen it. Roughly looking at the results, by increasing the temperature from 300 to 350 Kelvin, we see a significant decrease in the open circuit voltage point. You can see there is like, if we zoom in on this scale, you can see a slight increase in the current density, the short circuit current density with increase in temperature, but this increase is not significant. Okay, and I'm going to show you how much the current density changes in a slightly later in another figure. At this point, I'm going to save this figure. So we go to export graph, open dialog, click on this icon to give the path to this, and here we can name it as 1_JV versus temperature, and then click OK. Oh no, so it is the folder. I cannot change it, so this is the path and here is the name. The name looks good. Instead of IV, I'm gonna rename it to JV versus temperature, and now click on. Also, you can set the DPI, the resolution of this image, in dots per inches. You can set it to 200, 300, 600, however much quality of the picture you want. And also, there is a requirement for some journals that your picture quality should be 300 DPI, etc. So keeping those requirements in mind, 600 looks good for me, so I click on OK. And then I come back to this folder. After some point, this figure will appear. So, okay, we have exported these results of the JV characteristics of the solar cell, where we see the thermal analysis of solar cell in the range of 300 to 350 Kelvin. Okay, so I'm gonna save this one and I'm gonna close this origin file. Let us go back to these results. Now, I'm also interested in looking at some other results. Like, for example, we click on this option, recorder results, and here you see this plot is efficiency versus temperature. So the temperature increases in the range of 300 to 350 Kelvin, and you see there is a decrease in efficiency versus temperature. So we can click on show, but first let me open another origin file. In this origin file, I want to plot the fill factor and efficiency versus temperature. So, so I basically need 3 columns. So once again, I press Ctrl plus D, and I'm just going to add 1 column to the right of it. So here is my independent variable is temperature. Its unit is going to be in Kelvin, and here I want to look at efficiency and then the fill factor. Okay, so you go back to SCAPS 1D and click on show, and here is our recorded data. Here you see the first column is for temperature, the second column is for VOC, the third column is for JSC, the fourth column is for fill factor, the fifth column is for the maximum voltage point, and the sixth column is for the maximum current density point. So this one for the current density, maximum voltage, fill factor, short circuit current density, open circuit voltage, efficiency, and temperature. So I'm going to copy all these columns, press Ctrl plus C, and in fact now what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase these columns. How many columns do we need? 3, 6, 7. 7 columns in total. So I press Ctrl plus D once again and add 4 more columns to the right of it. The unit of efficiency is percent, fill factor is unitless, and then I paste the data over here. Let me double check, making sure that I'm looking at the right parameters. So we got temperature and then efficiency, temperature, efficiency, open circuit voltage. So temperature, there is a slight mismatch of the results, so I'm going to do it once again. Ctrl plus C, delete all these results, press Ctrl plus V, don't need to number it once again because the serial number is already given in the first column. So just cut this data using Ctrl+X and paste it over here. And we don't need this column now. So let me double check the results. So we got temperature and then efficiency and then open circuit voltage. So temperature, efficiency, open circuit voltage, and its unit is going to be in volts. Then short circuit current density. So unit is milliamps per centimeter square. Then we got the fill factor. You can represent it in percent, and then the maximum voltage. We can call it Vm. And then the maximum current density. We can call it MPP. And its unit is going to be milliamps per centimeter square. So, and then we can save it over here. Let me call it figures of merit for the solar cell and save the project. So basically VMPP corresponds to the voltage at the maximum power point. Similarly, JMPP corresponds to the current density at the maximum power point. So the plan over here now is to plot efficiency and fill factor in one figure versus temperature, and the rest of the results in another figure. So let us do that. So I'm going to choose temperature, efficiency, and fill factor, and then we click on this option and then click on 2y. So let me slightly increase the size of this figure. Control S. Let us set up these axes once again. Set the color to black, set it to bold. Similarly on the left axis, so I want to differentiate between the efficiency curve and the fill factor curve. So everything which corresponds to the left axis, I'm going to set it to blue color and then set it to bold. Similarly, the efficiency as well. And set its color to blue. Everything to the right, I'm going to set their color to red. Set it to bold. Similarly, set it to bold and set the color to red. Okay, now here is, let me set the temperature to bold as well. And set the color of the independent variable to black. Save the results. Now let me click on these individual figures. And this figure in this curve, let me click on it. This one corresponds to, let us first deal with the efficiency one. As you can see, when I click on this curve, the efficiency column is highlighted. So double click on the efficiency curve. I wanna set its symbol to this one and increase its size to, I would say, 15, or in fact you can increase this to 18. Set its color to blue. Similarly, set the thickness of the line to 4 and set its color to blue and hit apply. Let me full screen it. Okay, talking about, and it's varying in the range of 18 to, let me 18.5. Let me set this axis in the range of 18.5 to 21, and let me increase the minor text count to 4. Hit apply. So it's 20 point. Okay, so that is fine. Okay, click on OK. Now let me deal with this one. So I'm gonna set its symbol to, for example, you can set it to star and increase the size of this symbol to 18. Increase the thickness of the line to 4. Hit apply. Click OK. And I want to adjust the range in a way that the figures are more obvious. So talking about the scale, I want to increase the minor counts to 4 and let me set the fill factor in the range of 78 to 85 and see how it looks. So hit apply, click OK. So now it's kind of more obvious and it looks better. Let me check how it looks. Okay, so it looks fine. Okay, so you got the results. Also, you can adjust the label for the figure as well. This one is efficiency. And the red curve corresponds to the fill factor. And set it to bold. We can save this plot, so we go to File, Export Graph, Open Dialog. It's taking us to the same folder as the previous one. So let me name this figure as 2 underscore efficiency comma fill factor versus temperature. Click on OK. We should see the result in a second. Okay, so here is our efficiency and fill factor versus temperature figure, as you can see. Now we want to plot the open circuit voltage and the short circuit current density, voltage at the maximum power point and current density at the maximum power point in a separate figure. So for that purpose, we select the temperature column, the VOC column, the JSC column, the VMPP column, and the JMPP column. And once again we go to this icon and we select the dual y-axis figure. Let me full screen it so that we can play around with this figure as well. Okay, so let me perform some quick settings. Set it to bold, label the x-axis as temperature in Kelvin, set it to bold as well. Similarly, on the y-axis we have VOC and VMPP in volts. I'm gonna set it to bold as well, and let me set its color to blue. So everything which is related to the left vertical axis, I'm gonna set its color to blue. And everything which is related to the right axis, I'm gonna set its color to red. So here we have JSC, JMPP in milliamps per cm square. Set this to subscript, set this one to subscript as well. Control A, set it to bold, set its color to red, and set this one to bold as well. Cool. Okay. So now this curve corresponds to column C, which represents the open circuit voltage. So I'm gonna double click on this one and I will set its symbol to a size of 18, and this type, set its color to blue, and set its line width to 4. Hit apply. Similarly, the next one for the VMPP, I guess we did the same. So I want to deal with them independently. So set the color of the line to blue, set its symbol to this one. Similarly for the VMPP, I'm gonna set the symbol to this one, I would say, and hit apply. Click OK. Now you see these two figures. I still need to adjust the color of the line for this one. So set the color of the line to blue. Hit apply, click OK. So this curve corresponds to the open circuit voltage versus temperature, and this curve corresponds to the voltage at maximum power point. Now let us adjust these two curves as well. This curve corresponds to the short circuit current density column. So we double click on this column and I want to set the properties of the JSC and JMPP independently. So I click on the line and set its width to 4. Hit apply. Similarly, as far as the symbol is concerned, this symbol looks fine to me. So, but I'm gonna set the color to blue, not blue. Red is fine. Similarly, because JSC and JMPP correspond to the right axis. Similarly, for the JMPP, I'm gonna set the size of the line to 4. Its color is red. For the symbol, I want to set it to a diamond type. Its color is red once again. Hit apply, click OK, and maximum the size of it. So I want to increase the minor ticks count to 4. Set it to 4. Hit apply. Similarly for the right axis as well, I want to set the minor ticks count to 4 and hit apply, click OK, and also I want to increase the symbol size to 18 for JSC and for JMPP. So hit apply once again, click OK. And we have this legend over here where the first one corresponds to VOC. Set OC to subscript. The second one corresponds to VMPP. Set MPP to subscript. The third one corresponds to JSC. Set it to subscript. And the fourth one corresponds to JMPP. Set MPP to subscript. Control plus A, set it to bold. This looks fine. You can bring the label somewhere over here in the middle as well. But like here you can clearly see the trends, and now we can export the figure. So go to File, Export Graph, open dialog box. This takes us to the same folder, and we are gonna name it to VOC, VMPP, JSC, JMPP versus temperature. A picture quality of 600 dpi looks good for me, so I click on OK. Come back to this folder. And here is the figure. So now here are the results. This image shows the thermal analysis of a solar cell plotting key performance metrics such as the open circuit voltage, maximum voltage, short circuit current density, and maximum current density as a function of temperature. And let me analyze these results one by one. So first, let us look at the open circuit voltage trend. As you can see from this trend that the open circuit voltage decreases steadily as the temperature increases from 300 to 350 Kelvin. Now this is a typical behavior in solar cells. As temperature rises, the band gap of a semiconductor material decreases, which in turn reduces the open circuit voltage. This reduction in open circuit voltage with increasing temperature is due to increased recombination rates and reduced barrier for carrier excitation. Now let us consider this VMPP curve, voltage at maximum power point for the solar cell. Similar to the VOC, the maximum voltage power point, the voltage at the maximum power point also decreases as the temperature increases. So VMPP, which is the voltage at maximum power point for the solar cell, is the voltage at the maximum power point, and it tends to follow a similar trend as that of the open circuit voltage because both are influenced by the same factors. As the temperature rises, the decrease in the open circuit voltage directly impacts the voltage at the maximum power point, and it also reduces the efficiency of the solar cell. Now, in the context of the solar cell, the terms like the short circuit current density and the current density at maximum power point are terms used to describe the current voltage characteristics under different conditions. For example, let us first talk about the short circuit current density. This is the current density when the solar cell is under short circuit conditions. That is, when no external load resistance is applied. It represents maximum current that the solar cell can generate under illumination or under the presence of light. On the other hand, the current density at the maximum power point is the current density at the maximum power point of the solar cell where the product of current and voltage is maximized. Now let us talk about the trends of these two parameters. So JSC, which represents the short circuit current density, slightly increases with temperature. Now there is an explanation for that. When the temperature increases, the electron-hole pairs generated due to the incident light increase in the solar cell because of thermal energy generating more charge carriers. This leads to an increase in the short circuit current density. Essentially, more carriers are generated and contribute to the current flow under short circuit conditions. However, this effect is often small because the increase in carrier recombination at higher temperatures tends to counteract the increase in generated carriers. Now let us talk about the trend of the current density at maximum power point. And as we look at this trend, the current density at maximum power point appears to slightly decrease with increasing temperature. Why is that so? So we got an explanation for that. The maximum power point of a solar cell is measured through the maximum voltage and maximum current, and it's influenced by several factors. Like for example, as I already discussed, the open circuit voltage, the short circuit current density, and the fill factor, which depends on both open circuit voltage and short circuit current density. Typically, with increasing temperature, the open circuit voltage decreases due to increased reverse saturation current and reduced band gap, which shifts the maximum power point downwards to the left. So JMPP, which represents the current density at maximum power point, is influenced by both the short circuit current density and the maximum voltage. So although JSC might slightly increase, the overall reduction in the maximum voltage leads to a decrease in the current density at the maximum power point, reflecting a decrease in the solar cell's efficiency at higher temperatures. Now once again the question is why there is an increasing trend in the short circuit current density but a decreasing trend in the current density at the maximum power point. So let me explain it in more simpler words. So the increase in short circuit density in temperature is due to enhanced carrier generation, while the decrease in current density at maximum power point is primarily due to the decrease in the open circuit voltage caused by the temperature effects on the semiconductor material of the solar cell. These combined effects result in the observed behavior where JSC increases while the current density at maximum power point decreases with rising temperatures in a solar cell. So the slight increase in the short circuit current density with temperature doesn't fully compensate for the decrease in the maximum voltage and open circuit voltage, leading to an overall decrease in the current density at the maximum power point, which is critical for maximum power output. Now, what are the takeaway points? Here are the takeaway points. We see with increase in temperature, we see a reduction in the efficiency. The combined effect of decreasing VOC and VM with temperature suggests that the solar cell efficiency decreases as the temperature increases. And this is a common challenge in solar cell performance, especially in environments with high temperatures. So, the results highlight the importance of thermal management in solar cells to maintain optimal performance, particularly in terms of preventing excessive temperature rise, which negatively impacts the voltage-related parameters. The thermal analysis depicted in the graph shows that as temperature rises, the voltage-related parameters such as open circuit voltage and the maximum voltage decrease, while the current-related parameters such as the short circuit current density and the current density at the maximum power point exhibit slight but opposite trends. These trends underscore the negative impact of elevated temperatures on the solar cell's efficiency, primarily due to the reduced voltage output, even if the current output remains relatively stable or slightly increases. So this wraps up our analysis of how temperature variations between 300 and 350 Kelvin affect solar cell performance using SCAPS 1D simulation. I hope this video gave you valuable insights into the importance of thermal management and solar technology. If you found this content helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into solar cell energy research. And if you have any questions or topics you would like us to cover next, drop them in the comments below. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video. Take care. Adios.